Next topic that we have here is from the New York Post. I let my mom and my sister sleep with my husband, and it says hashtag swinger life. Now the post from the New York Post has 1,000 posts and 600 retweets, 825 likes, and again, this is from women posting their L's online. And again, this just obviously you can see the theme of these couple of topics here is just women acting horribly. And now I did watch the video here because here's the story from the New York Post. I let my mom and sister sleep with my husband, and I don't think they have the full video. But it says the relationship between a mother, daughter, and sister can be an unbreakable bond, but when it comes to sharing things, there's always a limit. However, one woman doesn't seem to mind just how much she shares with her family members. Self-described swinger Brooke Macklin has outlined her unusual family arrangement in a few viral posts. In the videos on the account at Brooke Macklin 213, the social media user can be seen with two women who she claims are her mom and her sister. Speaking to the camera, Macklin claims that she shares her husband with her mom. She explains, "This is my mom. Yeah, I let my hubby have her a couple times a week. Yeah, I'm that kind of wife." Macklin captioned the video, "My life, don't judge me, hashtag swinger lifestyle," and hashtag hot mom. And people didn't hold back in the comments section. Now, here you can see the video. That's, I guess, her husband with the arm around mom. I don't know if that's a real gold Rolex with a diamond bezel or a fake one. But mom's not looking bad for her age. Daughter's slash wife, I guess, isn't too bad looking. But one question: what happens if one gets pregnant? You'll have a brother, sister, nephew, or niece, but also stepchild. Another added, sick and twisted. It's unclear whether the group of the three are being serious or joking. In another video, which she subtitled Swinger's Life, Macklin claims she keeps her man happy by letting him play with her little sister, too. Yeah, I'm that kind of wife, she adds. Again, it's unclear whether they're serious or joking. Someone else wrote sick. And another added, I don't think this is what swinger means. This is more poly something, multiple partner. Let's go up and click the Instagram or the Twitter link here and see what it brings us. Oh, it's a TikTok. Oh, and it looks like, let me get my glasses on here. Old man Joker. This video is private. Dun, 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 dun. I don't have my soundboard here. Wah, wah. So it looks like they removed it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she made a different one. Society. Well, the whole point is here, though, that I did see the TikTok video when they had it on Twitter. It's gone away now, but and the sister looked young. I mean, the sister looked 16 or 18. I'm sure for legality's sake, she was legal age. But again, this is the kind of thing that there's always kind of a pendulum in life. There's left leaning, there's right leaning, there's authoritarian, there's kind of free market capitalism. And things tend to swing between the pendulum. I mean, you had the Roaring 20s, then things were kind of locked down, 30s, 40s, 50s were and then 50s kind of rock and roll and hot rod cars came out. And then the 60s, which you had, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. 70s was disco, and then the 80s kind of swung back again towards conservatism a little bit. I'm hoping the pendulum swings back the other direction to where it's not that this isn't normal. And here's the thing. I have no problems when somebody wants to live a life like that. I really don't. Like, I always have a you do you. But the problem is today with social media, I think so many people are doing crazier and crazier and crazier things to get attention and to get that validation on social media. And so it's kind of a race off to the craziness. And I'm hoping at some point people start pulling back from that. Because if they don't, I mean, it really does start to feel like the fall of the Roman Empire. Like, we're going so crazy at a certain point You just have to say, like, if we keep going in this direction, morals, values, all of it's out the window. And I don't know where we head to next, but if it continues on these lines, like, I mean, what if he gets mom here knocked up? Then it's going to be like, it's going to be his kid, but it's also going to be her brother, half brother. So you'll have your stepson will also be your half brother. Like, I don't know, man. This is just where we are. So, but again, this is just got people, normal human beings see more and more of this, and they say, you know something, I'm out. Like, I'm not interested in participating in this society anymore. Next article, I'm going to talk about women unhappy, men no longer interested in the bedroom, fun with them. This one I was surprised but not surprised with, because I think when they talk about men, for some topics, they talk about men as a whole. And then for other topics, they talk about just a select few percentage of men. And what I mean by that is this, is that you'll get women saying, oh, guys are just players, and all they do is they'll sleep with a girl and they leave him, or they use her, or they have 3 girlfriends at once, and they just go hopping from woman to woman, and men are just players, men are just dogs. Well, most of the time when women are talking like that, they're talking about, again, those top 10 or 20% of men that have an overabundance of options. And so, yeah, those guys end up being kind of players. They're not going to settle down. They may just use women and move on. They're not talking about the other 80% of men when they make those statements, because I don't know too many average guys that get a girlfriend that they like, and that guy's like, oh yeah, I got 4 or 5 other women just banging down my door because I'm so average. Like, that doesn't really happen. But when they talk about many men are no longer wanting or that interested in sex, they're probably talking about the bottom 80%. And they'll say, well, the vast percentage of men don't want to date anymore. Well, now they're probably talking about the lower 80%. So I think it's what percentage or what segment of men that they're looking at. But this is from, again, the New York Post. Single men just don't care about sex anymore, a study says. And I took the idea for my thumbnail from this. Let me switch my camera back over there. I took the idea of my thumbnail from this picture because dude's got a kind of an unhappy face. I think I even took the same icon. I just put it over a muscle-bound Chad where the lighting was a little bit better. And it says, we've gone from a slooty summer to flaccid fall. Now, if you remember, there was an article I did last year where they were talking about, after the bug, it's going to be the summer of love. It's going to be the summer of easy women. It's going to be the summer of partying. And, well, because they're keeping everything locked down, number one. And number two, I think a lot of guys that have kind of found their groove without dating, now they're like, hey, you know something? I've got other hobbies. I've got other activities. I got stuff I'd rather do. They say, according to a study published by Match, today, 81% of single men said sex is now less important than it was for them in pre-bug times. This is what I was talking about before. Now, the 81% of men likely that said, it's less important to me, they're probably the 80% of men that are what women consider average at best, even though mathematically it doesn't work like that. Those 80% of men probably are finding, hey, you know what? I got to jump through a lot of hoops. I got to try to go through a lot to get a woman's attention. And the top 20% are basking. They're sharing kind of their larger share of women. So the bottom 80% are like, nah, I'm just kind of done with this. It's not worth it. So like I said, the segment of men they're talking about here, they're not talking about the popular top 10 or 20%ers. They say the jaw-dropping stat on lackluster libidos is thanks to a perfect storm of biological and societal reasons brought on by the bug, according to Match's chief scientific advisors and sex researchers Helen Fisher, Ph.D., and Justin Garcia, Ph.D. You can't shut a planet and expect people's physiology to remain the same, Fisher told the Post. We all suffered, dopamine plummeted, testosterone plummeted. Sex is less important. The more sex you have, the more you want. The less sex you have, the less you want. These singles were having it less and were under extreme stress. The two together dampened the importance of it in their lives, she added. It's not to say that the horizontal hokey pokey is no longer on the minds of single men, but that it's taken a backseat to newfound priorities in both relationships and love, Garcia explained. It's most striking in men that they're taking a moment to value relationships and relationship context of intimate encounters more. We see the rates of casual sex are down. Only 11% of singles want to date casually. Is that right? Only 11% of singles want to date casually, he said. More people are back to the 3-date rule and want to go on multiple dates before first making out or having intercourse. They say that's because many men are now experiencing post-traumatic growth from the bug and are focusing toward prioritizing well-being along with furthering emotional maturity, Fisher said. Well, now let's pause here for a second. First of all, when the town you're in is locked down, when you've got all these rules in place, we know dating apps were 40 or 50% of the dating world that's out there. That's how a very large percentage of young people, or people in general, are meeting. Well, when you're kind of locked down, hey, you know what? I bet the dating apps came into it more because you couldn't go out to a pub. You couldn't go out to a nightclub. Now to go some of these places, you've still got to wear masks. In some places, you have to show an ID that you've gotten the jab, all this other stuff. And so people went to swiping. Well, who does that benefit? It benefits women, and it benefits the very top select of men. So a lot of these guys say, you know something? It's not happening for me. I'm not getting any action. I'm out. I'm going to find other things that better myself, whether it's watching a video by Better Bachelor, whether it's finding hobbies, whether it's getting online and playing online games with people. Maybe it's hitting the gym. Hopefully it's hitting the gym and getting yourselves in better shape. All these things, and guys are going, hey, you know what? All the headache that comes from these women, the entitlement, the narcissism, the validation they need on social media, the way they talk down to me, the way I have to be perfect, but she expects just to be able to show up in yoga pants and her hair in a beret or a what do you call it? Her hair in a ponytail or something. And I'm supposed to fall all over myself feeling lucky to have a girl. No, it's not worth the time, the effort, the headache, the money, the whatever for that 20 to 30 minutes of bedroom fun that I get. And also, there's a lot of spicy content that's available on the web. There's lots of, gadgets that guys have now, not to mention the old lotion and hand motion that some of us have known about for the last 500 years. And so I think guys are just, you know what? They get that post-nut clarity and they're like, I'm all right. I don't really feel like taking her out on a date. I don't feel like jumping through all the hoops just for a little bit of the love. So I think prioritizing on well-being and emotional maturity is great, because the more emotional maturity and well-being you have, the less likely you are to try to put up with these crazy girls just to get a little bit of fun. They say singles are growing up. They're looking for long-term stability in a partnership. They're looking to take they're going to take their time to find it, and men are leading the way. Much of that has come from men being more well-rounded, according to the research. The study found that 72% of Gen Z and 69% of millennials began taking up new hobbies during the pandemic, while 69% of Gen Z boasted that they made significant career strides. And again, I think this is good. Hopefully, men are not chasing the almighty dollar unless they want to, but they're quitting the jobs that maybe they didn't like. They're focusing on themselves and maybe going for a career or a hobby that they like. And these are pretty big numbers. I think that the Gen Z, I've heard in multiple studies that they're starting to swing back a little bit more towards the conservative side. And I don't mean politically. I mean conservative as far as how they look at the world and everything else, because they see the crazy wokeness out there. They see the where feminism and the angry Karens and everybody else, and they're like, man, that I do not want any part of that. And so I think that kind of being a little bit more conservative in your views is actually out of fashion. So it's kind of the new hip thing to be is that it's not the it thing. They say, plus, men are better at relaxing. That's that post-nut clarity talking right there. They're getting more sleep. Again, post-nut clarity. They're gaining self-confidence. Hopefully the manosphere and content like mine is helping. But also getting bro friends and dude friends and realizing that you don't need to prioritize a woman in your life by prioritizing yourself. That'll help you gain self-confidence. They really are finding other avenues besides sex for intellectual growth. The newfound dating culture, one which sees men desiring more wholesome connections with both themselves and their partners, gives the sexperts hope. And again, I think, just like I was talking about earlier here, is when you have these crazy women doing these awful videos, and you've got these girls talking about, my mom's also with my husband, with my sister, and all. There's a lot of guys that are like, I do want like a good girlfriend, just one. I don't need all the crazy weirdness. I just want one person that's going to be for me and me only. And for a lot of guys, that's never changed. The difference is now, I think a lot of men are realizing, if I just swipe and swipe and swipe on social media or on these dating apps, I'm just validating her. It's not going anywhere. When the easy girl that has been with two of your mates, two of your friends, comes up to you and says, hey, you want to shag, or she starts flirting with you, these guys are going, not interested, no thanks. And they may be even insulting and being derogatory towards her because they feel very strongly that they don't want to be with her, and they kind of are shaming her a little bit. And I think that over time will start bringing things back to normalcy. Now, the minute the guys stop buying and spending money on the OnlyFans, the minute guys stop thirsting and kind of being simps and being kind of over the top for these women, look, you can look at like on this thumbnail that I have here. Where did I put it? Right here. You can look and be like, oh man, they're cute girls, or whatever you feel about it. You can say, oh, they're really cute girls. And if a girl posts that on social media, instead of being an idiot, and yeah, I'm going to call guys idiots that do this, that go, oh, girl, you're so hot, or oh, I'd love to get your number. Oh, because the girls do not care about you. They do not care. You're just another heart. You're another like. You're another a reason to make them feel good. No girl's ever going to look at, average Joe 495, and especially if she's cute and she's got a lot of guys, shooting their shots at her, she's never going to be like, oh, he sent a nice, oh, that's so sweet of him to say something nice. I'm going to DM him, or I'm going to respond to his DM, and maybe we can go out on a date. No, that's not what these girls are doing. They are not, and they're never going to. So you being super thirsty or simpy or spending money on them, excuse me, they don't care. They don't like you. You're just validation for them. So I think as more and more men find this out, and again, you can still think they're hot. You just don't need to tell them. Just think it in your head like, oh, she's cute, and moving on. And the more you do that, the more that these women will stop going so crazy, stop posting all the insanity, and stop chasing that validation. Now, they may always try to chase validation, but, when going back to the 1900s, when women and men went to the beach, and when they went swimming, they were clothed in head to toes, and men had their little straw hats on. And to see a woman's calf, a woman shows her calf a little bit, and guys are like, whew, man, did you see the leg on that girl? Well, we've gone from there to now women doing spicy work on video for $4.99 a month. If guys start saying, I don't like that anymore, even if you do like it, if you say, I don't like that anymore, or I don't want women like that anymore, I'm going to not date you because I don't want that. Well, women may go crazy, but it'll start getting reeled in when women realize, oh man, look at all my friends or everybody that's done this. None of them can get a dude because guys think she's easy. Guys don't want it. They don't want somebody that's like this, that gets all this attention and validation. And I think it'll swing back a little bit. They say, what we're seeing is a global situation here, Fisher said. It may well lead to a few decades of relative family stability and happy marriages. And that would make me happy. I genuinely would like that. But I oftentimes get a little bit of crap because I'll say, guys, don't get married. Don't live with a woman. Don't get caught up in all that stuff. Don't have kids with women. Just sporadically or whatever. And then in the other sense, many times in my videos, I'll say, until women like cut out the craziness and start becoming good women who want to get married and who want to get settled down, then we need to stay away from it. And somebody I've been called out a few times saying, well, dude, you're being hypocritical. Like you're telling men not to get married and not to live with a woman, but you're telling women to like act right and not be crazy and make themselves what would be a good wife. How can you do both at the same time? It's easy. When women become good wife material, and when I say good wife material, I mean someone that's not going through all this craziness, and then guys are interested and would like to get married to these women, that's ideal. Then if the women want to get married and loads of women come forward saying, I want to get married and I want to have a family and I found a good man I'd love to marry and he loves me and we'd like to get married, but he refuses to because of the laws, because of the government getting involved, because of the penalties that are imposed on men for marriage, then it won't be men standing up saying, these laws are unjust, these laws are unfair, because we've been doing that for decades now. And when we do it, it's all patriarchy and shut up you. But when the women come forward and the women say, I want a family, I want marriage, I want a good guy, and I think I've found one, I want to get married to him, but he won't because of the laws. I, as a woman, want you to change the laws. And when enough women come forward saying like, hey, we need to make this more equitable, I think we've got a chance. And so I'd like people to get to that point because I do think a lot of the problems we have in society today, and if you look up the statistics on single fatherless households, when you look at people that do bad things and crime and a lot of the other problems we have in society, these are households without a father. We know 80 or 85% of the time women get the primary custody of a child. Well, that means dad's not around as much. I'd like dad in that picture more. And that will not only have a better society, but it'll have better kids. And those better kids will, again, it can be a downward slide or it can be an upward climb. And if we're on the uptrend, that means that men stay in their children's lives and they instruct them and they stick around. And those kids are more balanced and are healthier than maybe their parents are. And things can over time get better. The opposite is where things fall off a cliff like they are now and things continue to get worse. So I'm hoping that women square themselves away and stop chasing clout and likes and putting themselves out there as if they're easy, and they make themselves more desirable for long-term relationships. And then I want men to get in long-term relationships with those women if they want to, if that is their desire, but they still can't get married or get involved in living with somebody for an extended period of time when the law can step in. Other than that, if somebody said, hey, man, I like your channel, but I want to be in love and have a long-term girlfriend, and I love women, my answer is, awesome, dude, go for it. Just make sure you're protected from the law. I have no hate for anybody that wants to fall in love and be with one person. I think that's great. And if another guy comes to me and says, dude, I think the women are crazy, and I never want to touch another one as long as I live. I'm going to live as a mountain hermit, and I'm going to have pet bears and have my own elk farm where I can hunt elk, like, go for it. The thing is, all I do is I like society when it is healthy. We've got healthy inhabitants that respect and care for one another as a society, and we all get along. We're a long ways away from that. And until we do, so I think you can have both at the same time. So anyway, I think this is a good sign. I think more and more young men are learning. I think younger women hopefully are looking at the ones that are, maybe the millennials are a little bit ahead of them saying, oof, whatever they did not work out well for them. They're not happy. I think I'm going to do the opposite. And we'll see how that turns out for the long run.